This is Agriculture Today. We are back now for our bi-monthly Ag Law Update, and joining us is Roger McEowen. He is a Kansas State University and Washburn University School of Law Ag Law professor. So, Roger, thanks for joining us.
Good to be with you, Samantha.
Absolutely. Glad to have you on as well. And we're going to be talking today about the 74th Annual Kansas Income Tax Institute, which you have been a part of for a number of years now. But tell us a bit about this program.
Yeah, in fact, I think this is my 30th year leading up these tax schools. But this is a long-standing program of extension at Kansas State. It might be the biggest program that K-State Extension has. It's probably the longest-running one. I'm just not familiar with anything else that's like these. And they've really kind of changed over the years. I've had a chance to look at some of the original books back in the 1940s, and given the relative simplicity of the code then, the schools will look to me to be a lot simpler than they are now. But we have a very complex tax code, and these schools are designed for practitioners in the rural areas as well as small firms, and we get people from large firms and the big four CPA firms that attend these schools. So it really covers a wide array of practitioners. And some of the data I saw a number of years ago was that about 95% of all farm income tax returns, or Schedule F, was prepared by someone in Kansas, was prepared by someone that had gone through these schools. So the impact of these schools are huge.
Absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned some of the key audience members that you guys expect and put together this program for, and it's tax professionals, attorneys, and even producers if they're interested in learning more about how the taxes work behind the scenes of things. But it's also a continuing education opportunity, right?
That's right. Yeah, we do get some farmers and ranchers and those that are keeping the books and trying to do the taxes for those. So it's not just professionals. Now, granted, the vast majority are tax professionals that attend. And it is detailed training, but we do also get some others that are not tax professionals that attend it. And for those that are interested in continuing education credit, this is eligible for 16 continuing professional education credits for accountants, as well as 16 continuing legal education hours for attorneys, and 15 hours of credit for enrolled agents and OTRPs and CFPs, and 6 hours of real estate credit that's also available.
Wow, excellent. So numerous opportunities for many different groups. And in terms of what we can expect this year, you guys have some great speakers outlined and also some obviously phenomenal topics that are going to be covered. So what are some of those?
Yeah, for the two online seminars, Paul Neefer, who is a CPA out of the state of Washington, out of the Walla Walla office at Clifton Larson Allen, he and I handled day one of the first online seminar. And then we also do day one out west in Garden City and Hayes. And then I do day two at every location with Kathy Murphy. Many people will know the name Ross first. Ross was retired IRS and did the tax schools with me for, probably 20 years while he was still with IRS and then after he retired. And he finally said that he told me last year he didn't want to do them anymore. He wanted to spend more time with his grandchildren, which I fully understand. And so Kathy Murphy is going to be with me on day two instead of Ross this year, and people will enjoy Kathy. She's also retired IRS, but she still practices. She has a tax office over in the St. Louis area. She'll be making the tour of the tax schools with me, teaching day two at every location except Pittsburgh. She won't be in Pittsburgh. But we may have an IRS Criminal Investigation Division person from Memphis join us in Pittsburgh. I can't say for sure yet. And then also on day two will be Professor Ed Morse, who is a tax professor at Creighton Law School. Those who attended last year on 5 of the locations got to hear Professor Morse. He's very well recognized, a great speaker, and gives a really great presentation on his topics. So that'll be day two at the locations other than just the ones out west, Garden City, Colby, and the first online seminar. He'll be on the rest of them on day one. And then at every location, Carl York with the Kansas Department of Revenue will make an hour-long presentation right after lunch at each location plus the 2 online schools. And this is a year that he's got a lot to talk about. The legislature did a lot of things with respect to Kansas tax last year. That is, some of it has already taken effect, some of it will be coming. He's going to be going all over those changes and explaining the new forms that are out and what the issues are and what practitioners need to be looking for. So this is a really good year for people to get up to speed on Kansas tax.
Absolutely, yeah. You mentioned quite a few of the locations that this will cover and the fact that it's a 2-day program that each of these locations will have. So some of those online, like you mentioned, so that first date available for this programming is going to be October 31st and November 1st online over Zoom. November 7th and 8th, you guys are going to be at Garden City. November 9th and 10th, Hayes. November 21st and 22nd, Lawrence. November 28th and 29th, Salina. December 8th and 9th, Wichita. December 14th and 15th, Pittsburgh. December 19th and 20th, online over Zoom again to wrap things up. And of course, if listeners are tuning in and they're interested in, I just rambled all of those off very quickly, but if you're interested in seeing a detailed schedule and registering, of course, which is key for these events and getting numbers and things like that, you can do that on agmanager.info. But of course, that will be linked in the show notes of today's program. But Roger, we really just want to encourage those that are interested to really attend this year, right?
Yeah, there's always changes in the tax code. And of course, we had a number of changes made in some recent legislation that came through the Congress. But also at the state level, this is a big year for that. And when people look on the Ag Manager link that they can find when they go to Ag Manager, they'll see the topics that we're covering and the subtopics on a daily basis. And a person can register for one day or both days. And if they only are looking for certain types of instruction on topics, then they can kind of pick and choose a la carte style for those particular days. But again, we think it's a pretty high-level instruction at each of these locations, and it is, because it's run through extension, it is pretty economical in terms of continuing education credit rates, pretty economical education for people to pick up their credits.
Absolutely, yeah. And a chance to get to learn from experts like those that you mentioned previously, ones that are dealing with these topics every single day.
That's right. We have our hands in this stuff every day, year-round, and it seems like it never stops. And so we try to give not only present the materials, but answer questions as we go through. And also, for those attendees, they get access to us as speakers and can ask questions throughout the year. I would also point out there will be an ethics session on December 16, 2 hours of ethics, for tax ethics for those who need those. That will be run through Washburn Law School, but there'll be a break on price for those that attended the tax schools.
Excellent. Yeah, good to know for sure. And I know that you guys have outlines, obviously, of all the topics you're going to be covering each day of this program and each location, but you encourage those attending to look into those topics and prepare questions beforehand if they have the chance?
Well, at least look into the topics. Because you can see on a detailed basis, we break it down into subtopics as to what we're going to be covering. So if you've got particular questions, sure, if people have questions, they want to frame those in advance and ask us. We're glad to try to deal with those and get those answered, or at least give us a heads up of, you want to talk to us at the event, you've got these types of questions, we'll be glad to work that in.
Absolutely, yeah. So just a quick rundown again of those dates that people can expect for this program. It's going to be October 31st and November 1st online over Zoom, November 7th and 8th in Garden City, November 9th and 10th in Hayes, November 21st and 22nd in Lawrence, November 28th and 29th in Salina, December 8th and 9th in Wichita, December 14th and 15th in Pittsburgh, and then rounding out programming on December 19th and 20th online again over Zoom to conclude this year's programming. But as always, Roger, we thank you so much for your time today and for previewing this event with us.
Thank you, Samantha.
Absolutely. Once again, that was Roger McEowen. He is a Kansas State University and Washburn University School of Law Ag Law professor, previewing the upcoming 74th Annual Kansas Income Tax Institute and why you should register.